One of the most common ones that we encounter is people who have a small business, work from home, and say, well, I can claim almost anything against my small business income.
Yeah.
Yes and no. There are some things you can claim and there are some things you cannot, but it has to be reasonable in the circumstance. And what is reasonable is subject to, the particular circumstances.
Right.
So, for example, if you have a small business that's like a small construction company, trying to expense the amortization on a 30-foot yacht may not be considered reasonable. Employment expenses. People get confused when they wanted to try to deduct stuff that they would reasonably think is deductible, like work clothes. People who work in a nursing environment want to claim their uniforms, and they can't, and they get a little bit confused. Go, why can't I claim them? That's why the CRA has a new credit that's called the employment credit, and it's intended to cover some of those expenses that you can't claim.
Okay.
But it's been a pain in people's sides for many years as to why I can't claim my work-related expenses.
Exactly. Why some are, some aren't. It's kind of a gray
It all
area there,
depends
so.
on your employment situation, whether you're a salaried employee, whether you're a commissioned employee, or even if you're independent contractor.
Right.
So they're all different rules for different situations. But as a person who works for an employer, you have very limited deductions in that area.
Right.
Not necessarily.
Yeah.
Typically, now there's always exceptions to the rule, it's the person with the lower net income.
Right.
In terms of claiming the $2,000 child amount or the child care expenses. Also, there's some tie-ins to certain personal credits. For example, if you're a single parent and you're claiming the eligible dependent claim, it can tie into that as well. So like I said, there's various rules about the personal credits, and each credit has particular criteria that you have to respect. The rule is you need a vehicle mileage log. You need to track your mileage. Now, I've heard so many stories about I use my car 90% for business. Doesn't work that way.
No.
It's your total kilometers driven for business divided by your total kilometers for the year, which gives you the prorated amount, and then you claim 100% of your expenses that you've accumulated. Doesn't matter if you spent gas to go on a personal trip, or it's your total expenses for the year for the car are prorated based on your business. Now, there are some scenarios where the person may have relatively stable mileage on a month-to-month basis, and there is an option where you can track it for a few months and then average it. Okay. But we always recommend keep your mileage log.
Absolutely.